What's up, guys? Chaz and Charlie. Today I want to discuss I would not smoke until after the age of 25. And when we look at the topic of weed, it's not the case of nobody should ever smoke weed or weed is a bad thing. Is that we shouldn't abuse weed. And I also would say we shouldn't smoke weed when our brains are still developing. Weed is becoming used more and more by younger teens, young adults. And, science say that your brain is not developed fully developed until the age of 25. So we have a generation of children who are starting to smoke weed at the age of 13 and 12, and probably younger with the rise of things like edibles, whatnot. They're smoking at a much younger age while their brains are still developing. And when we introduce weed to our systems at this young age, it's really changing how we react to anxiety, how we react to stress, how we react to sleep. It's changing our bodies, changing our mental state when our brain is still growing. And the issue with this, we're not giving our brains, our minds a full chance to mature, to grow, to act in this most natural state. So we have a generation that, children are trying to, anxiety, depression is so big nowadays. And, young adults saying they have depression, they have anxiety, and they kind of have their nose turned up at alcohol now. And not saying people should be drinking. Teens shouldn't drink as well. But I'm a millennial, and most millennials, I wouldn't say we had a large percentage of alcoholics. Hold on, guys. We didn't necessarily have a large percentage of alcoholics, but Gen Z and the Gen after that, they tend to have their nose turned up at alcohol, but they're doing things like weed and psychedelics and pills. They're real big on drugs, more so than what we were. The most we would do was kind of like weed. You have some people that might pop X pills or things like that, but we didn't do things like mushrooms and psychedelics and all these mind-altering drugs. But this generation is, doing that more now and at a younger age, and they are more so getting addicted. You start smoking at the age of 16, like I did. By the time you hit 18, you're pretty much addicted. And that's not the case for everybody, but, a lot of times when we do start at an early age, we have a higher chance of being addicted. And when we're young and we're trying to learn how to handle stress and learn ourselves and learn how to handle anxiety, when we introduce weed into that, it's kind of messing up our system. We're not knowing how to handle it on our own, and we're getting this swayed, view of things because we're high, because we have the THC in our system. So when we get to age 25 or in our 20s, we're not even reacting to stress in our natural state. We're reacting to stress, or our body has learned to react to these things with the presence of weed in our system. Yeah, so we're learning how to handle stress and these different trials that you go through when you're a young adult, and we're dealing with them under the influence of weed, under the influence of other drugs, and we just don't get a clear view of how to handle things. And then when we are in our sober state, we feel like things like depression and anxiety are like these abnormalities because we don't know how to deal with them in our most natural state. I'm going back to this idea of Gen Z having their nose turned up at things like alcohol and cigarettes. Now, I'm not promoting these things as well, but when you look at people, I'll say 30, 38 and younger, we did have more experience with drinking or with using cigarettes, but most people didn't get just addicted to these things. Now, we did drink occasionally in high school, but I mean, most people weren't an actual alcoholic. It was a oddity if somebody did become an alcoholic at a very young age. I'm saying it doesn't happen, but it's not the norm. But when you look at, you will say, well, weed is so much better than alcohol. But with that being said, you got more people that's using weed at a younger age, and they tend to get more addicted because it's not as bad as alcohol. It doesn't have the same stigmas as alcohol. So in turn, you have more people that are addicted to a drug per se. Although, like I said, alcohol is not in all means good or better than weed. But when you have more people that's using weed at a higher rate, that's using it on an everyday basis, you can say it could possibly cause more harm. And we won't truly know the effects until, 20, 30 years from now, when Gen Z has grown up and they're adults and they're the ones who are politicians or handling our finances, or they're the ones who over society. So we won't really, it's almost like an experiment to where we have not seen a generation of weed heads growing up. You can say, well, maybe it's the 70s babies, because 70s people did grow up in the free love movement, but most of them, it was still a section off portion of society compared to now, where it's more of a common thing. Whether you're a hippie or whether you're a CEO, everybody's smoking weed. When you look at things like cigarettes, people turn their nose up at cigarettes now. That's, people don't really smoke cigarettes now, but they vape. They vape a lot. Now, where you would, most people didn't start smoking until they got out of high school. Not saying there weren't people who smoked cigarettes in high school, but you typically didn't become a true cigarette smoker until after high school, and you had to go outside to smoke. Now we got vaping, that kids are now vaping at a young age, at 13 and 14, and they're vaping everywhere. Whereas you had to actually go on your break and smoke a cigarette. Now it's to the point where, they're vaping everywhere they go, all the time, 24/7. And vaping can't be healthy either, because, when I did vape occasionally, I would notice phlegm build up in my throat. And anytime you get phlegm or congestion in your throat, it ain't good for you. So, but we got more teens doing vaping now than we ever did cigarettes. There was a small section of people who smoked cigarettes, and now everybody, or a lot of people, a large percentage, are vaping. Whether they're vaping nicotine or weed, it's just a higher percentage of teens using this now. So, like I said, they feel like they're doing these things which was better than alcohol, better than cigarettes, but they're doing it at a much higher rate at a younger age, and they're getting addicted much quicker. So, if I were you in this world, I would try not to smoke weed until my brain is fully developed, giving your brain a chance to actually know how to handle stress, know how to deal with life's issues outside of being under the influence. And you have a lesser chance of actually becoming addicted to the drug when you have waited this long. I don't think most people who do start smoking at a late age, they typically don't become addicted. And if they do, it's saying it can happen too. They may have an easier chance with, breaking the habit, versus you've been smoking since you were 15 or 16. So give your brain a chance to actually mature. Give it a chance to actually grow and learn how to stress, anxiety, depression. Maybe not depression, but again, we confuse depression with just being sad. Most people don't actually have clinical depression. Most people are just, feeling sad and say, I'm depressed. Which, all these things are normal. Emotions are normal. And we should learn how to deal with these things outside of being under the influence. And just, use weed for good times. Use weed like you're having a cocktail. But Don't let it be a part of your daily cycle so you get addicted to it. So maybe you guys feel differently. I'm not sure. Until next time, guys, please like, subscribe, share. Most importantly, comment below. And remember, we are all in this together. Peace.
Cows in the field, moon's hanging high. Down that gravel road, I wave goodbye. Too many nights hazy, lost in a dream. This country heart is ready for a different scene. Throwing out the stats, those days are done. From Tennessee nights to the Nashville sun. No more clouds hanging over like a heavy shroud. I'm breaking free, standing tall, make my mama proud. None chasing smoke, no more high. Seeing life clear through an honest eye. Freedom in the air, no way to choke. This heart's burning brighter now that I'm done chasing smoke. Done chasing smoke, roosters crow, dawn comes around. A cleaner mind, feet on solid ground. Used to be lost in a misty haze, but I'm counting stars, not wasted days. Fiddles in the barn, bass in my chest, turning up the tunes, feeling truly blessed. 808 stomping, mixing beats with twang. Life's a different rhythm since I entered that slang. None chasing smoke, no more high. Seeing life clear through an honest eye. Freedom in the air, no way to choke. This heart's burning brighter now that I'm done chasing smoke. Done chasing smoke. Done chasing smoke. Roosters crow, dawn comes around. A cleaner mind, feet on solid ground. Used to be lost in a misty haze, but I'm counting stars, not wasted days. Fiddles in the barn, bass in my chest, turning up the tunes, feeling truly blessed. 808 stomping, mixing beats with twang. Life's a different rhythm since I ended that slang. Done chasing smoke, no more high. Seeing life clear through an honest eye. Freedom in the air, no way to choke. This heart's burning brighter now that I'm done chasing smoke. Done chasing smoke, no more high. Seeing life clear through an honest eye. Freedom in the air, no way to choke. This heart's burning brighter now that I'm done chasing smoke.